seek again. Chloe and Taylor playing hide and seek again. Hoping thunder's gonna drive like the wind. Hoping thunder's gonna drive like the wind. Oh, right. All right, all right, all right. Baby selling cover to bohemians, poets, streamers, and Burke sporting hooligans. Baby selling cover to bohemians, poets, streamers, and Burke sporting hooligans. All right, all right, all right, all right. And I've been living on the outskirts of town. And I've been turning my whole world upside down. Ooh, da, 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 da. Ooh, da, 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 da. Cold frost on a frozen windowsill. Says she thought, but you know she never will. Cold frost on a frozen windowsill. Says she thought, but you know that she never will. And I've been living on the outskirts of town. And I've been turning my whole world upside down. I've been living on the outskirts of town. And I've been sleeping in the cold, dark underground. Ooh, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ooh, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And seek again. Hoping thunder's gonna drive like the wind. Hoping thunder's gonna drive like the wind. Oh, right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right. There was something that we didn't know. Up inside your head was only the start of a hole that let you bleed from the heart. So coming of a malady, a little crack inside that won't even show. We've been taking on the water and sailing low. We can be distraught or be gone. So coming of a malady. I wanna be on the other side, so coming of a malady. I wanna be on the other side. It was a day or two, or was it a year? We put the horse's head inside of our cart and we pushed it forward till it all fell apart. The honor of a tragedy. Said your friend was patience with finding a rhyme for the gut spill of a pretty hard time, and the golden fleece of love in the dark, the yonder of a tragedy. I wanna be on the other side, so common of a melody. I wanna be on the other side, so common of a melody. I wanna be on the other side, so common of a melody. I wanna be on the other side. Superman and his spider friends were hanging out on the town's north end when along came a stone left hook from a murderer's ugly crook. Superman to his buddy said, I'm gonna even things out right, but a crook and a sucker punch put an end to his super fight. It's gonna hurt more than it used to. It's gonna hurt more than it used to. I used to drink like a sailor then, Sunday morning beyond the men's, crank it up on a Wednesday night and burn two ends of the candlelight, clock it in on a Thursday and start it all over again. Now I heard for a week or so, when I bump into certain friends, it's gonna hurt more than it used to. It's gonna hurt more than it used to. I got a friend who's a single man, and it is all a part of the master plan. When we sit down to talk a while, we are two ends of a great big smile. Met a dozen of his girlfriends. He said the last one is up and gone, shrugging shoulders and silly grins. He don't know what went wrong, but it doesn't hurt anymore like it used to. It doesn't hurt anymore like it used to. No. I get another heart. I'm gonna wake up every morning and raise him on chips and kettle corn and surf the web, 'cause life is short if I get another heart. We're gonna go out bungee jumping, we'll never hesitate again for humping. Steady flow of awkward sex and port, I used to drive a truck. It was Japanese, I think, or friggin' rust and busted blinkers were my very favorite parts. Now I got a minivan. It's got cardboard in one window, and if it gets stolen, I hope that they know it'll need a series of jump starts if I get another heart. We'll go out drinking every evening. We're gonna order stiff and neat martinis, the two of us in doobies and wingtips if I get another heart. There will be no one come between us, no tall and slender thing from Venus, a little turtle doving, na-na, slip. If I get another heart, I'm gonna wake up every morning and raise him on chips and kettle corn and surf the web, 'cause life is short. Well, that old morning sun is rising a little lower every time. Cottonwoods unveiling houses and street signs. And if my face could talk, I would leave them the creepy word moans behind. As if my blood, my guts, my clothes just didn't care. And it's colder in the morning, darker than the day before. And my hopes and fears, they never change at all. 'Cause I hear the start of a man denying a surplus guilt born of surviving, as I button up my coat and ready for the fall. If my car starts on a thin dime, my coffee stains upon the dash. The bridge on Scott carries us over the rails at last. And if her tears are mine for drying, her beating are never too fast, I will pony up 6 months like they weren't there. And it's colder in the morning, darker than the day before. And my hopes and fears, they never change at all. 'Cause I hear the start of a man denying a surplus guilt born of surviving, as I button up my coat and ready for the fall. Colder in the morning, darker than the day before. And my hopes and fears, they never change at all. 'Cause I hear the start of a man denying a surplus guilt born of surviving, as I button up my coat and ready for the fall. As I button up my coat and ready for the fall. coming low. Can't you hear it coming down the tracks? There is a freight train coming. Can't you hear it coming down the tracks? Well, that's the same diesel engine took my baby, said you were never coming back. Can't you hear that engine rolling, clickety-clang? Rolling down the lane, hard down the lane. Can't you hear that engine roll? Rolling down the lane. Well, that's the same diesel engine took my baby for the very last time. Comes the train, here comes the train, here comes the train. Son, she is already gone. Mr. Devo Man smiled, shook his head, said, son, she is already gone. And that's the third time as a week, my friend, you've been standing there. Oh, oh, oh. There's a freight train coming low. Can't you hear it coming down the tracks? There's a freight train coming. Can't you hear it coming down the tracks? Well, that's the same diesel engine took my baby, said you were never coming back. That is the same diesel engine took my baby, said you were never coming back. That is the same diesel engine took my baby, took my baby, took my baby. Said to my baby, said to my baby, said to my baby. My name is Tom Camel. This is Gibson Hartwell. Thanks for listening. This is called Ditch Effort. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a little bitty bank account that's overdrawn. 77 rusted out Datsun on my lawn. And if it weren't for bad luck, you know, babe, I would have true, so I'm ready to leave. If you want me to, I will back it on up and go. If we were Adam and Eve, it would make more sense, cause it'd only be a one-man show. Do you ever get tired of the same old jokes and the same old corny lines? I'm ready to leave if you want, but I need you most all the time. I like to drink a cold 1 or 3 when the sun goes down. 6 strings and a fiddle and a homegrown melody in town. Are the kind of things that keep me going when you're away. You won't give me tomorrow, well, I will take you day by day. There's a bar in town where the 3rd rounds come for free. Some local hack on his way to Tennessee, trying to pound it out of a 4-chord melody, and on his way to Tennessee. So tell me one more time if I sound like the man before. If it's a passe cliche, well, I say you just show me the door. But let me get this out straight once before I go. A bit of living ain't coming at any other tall dark. So and I'm ready to leave. If you want me to, I will back it on up and go. If we were Adam and Eve, it would make more sense, cause it'd only be a one-man show. Do you ever get tired of the same old jokes and the same old corny lines? I'm ready to leave if you want, but I need you most all the time. Do you ever get tired of the same old jokes and the same old corny lines? I am ready to leave if you want, but I need you most all the time. I am ready to leave if you want, but I need you most all the time. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. You guys be well. Be well, be well, be well.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Williams Effect. My name's John Engen. I have the privilege of serving as the mayor of the city of Missoula, and we have a fantastic program for you this evening. And part of this apparently features, my understanding is Pat Williams, ladies and gentlemen, is part of our program. And that's worth applauding. So you're going to hear from some much smarter folks than I tonight, but I am going to say 2 things about Pat this evening before other folks have a chance. First is, it's not the hardest thing in the world to get elected, but it is difficult to have vision, and vision involves seeing what becomes obvious to people later. So if you live in Missoula, Montana, today, and you have spent any time in the Rattlesnake Valley, for example, and you have spent any time in the National Recreation Area or the Rattlesnake Wilderness, it seems absolutely obvious to you that that was the right thing to do, right? But ladies and gentlemen, until Pat Williams and some other visionaries in our community brought it to our attention that it was the right thing to do, nobody was thinking about it. Moreover, that vision turned into a reality, and now we take for granted a tremendous amount of hard work that happened in this valley that serves this community and this region. And that's Pat Williams' work, ladies and gentlemen. So let's thank him for that. The other visionary piece has to do with thinking about the underdog and thinking about that which does not necessarily matter to everyone, but matters to us over a long period of time. And I will tell you this evening, again, but for Pat Williams demonstrating bravery and vision, we likely would not have a National Endowment for the Arts, ladies and gentlemen, because that's worth a round of applause. Because small minds do not typically have vision. And vision combined with courage does remarkable things. And Pat Williams has been a remarkable steward of the state of Montana and its citizens and the United States of America. Pat Williams, ladies and gentlemen, deserves our respect, appreciation, and another round of applause. I have a whole bunch of very important notes here. I need to welcome a number of people using these notes. We have a number of folks who have served the public here this evening. They include, in reverse anti-alphabetical order, Ron Erickson, ladies and gentlemen, who is here this evening. Jim Elliott is here this evening, folks. John Ellingson is here this evening. Amanda Curtis is here this evening. Councilman Alex Taft is here this evening. Diane Sands is here this evening. Councilman Jason Weiner is here this evening. Representative Nancy Wilson is here this evening. Vivian Brooke is here this evening. All the way from our sister city of Anaconda, Montana, Kathy Swanson is here this evening. All the way from our other sister city in Washington, D.C., Nancy Keenan is here this evening. Senator Carolyn Squires is here this evening. Why, young Steve Doherty is here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. As is Bryce Bennett, Senator Cliff Larson, Representative Ellie Hill, Representative Kim Dudek, Councilman Dave Strohmeyer, Douglas Coffin, and we got another fella here who's putting in a guest appearance. You may have heard of him. He used to work for the state. His name's Brian Schweitzer, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get to some additional speechifying, folks, it is my duty as well to talk to you a little bit about Forward Montana. So we talked about vision and courage and making a difference in our community. Well, Forward Montana is the organization that inspires and encourages and really enables young leaders to grow up to be folks like Pat Williams or the many folks I named here who are elected officials. Forward Montana trains folks. Forward Montana gets good people elected. Forward Montana, as the young people say, rocks. Actually, I think the young people used to say that. Now I don't. Forward Montana is off the hook. No, they don't say that anymore either. Do you? Forward Montana is sick. How's that? All right. And without further ado, to learn a little bit more about Forward Montana, and it is my pleasure this evening to remove the interim from Kaja's title. Kasia Booker is the brand new executive director of Forward Montana. Kasia, of course, is from Helena, but oddly enough, was most recently in Berkeley, the Missoula of California, getting her PhD. She returned to Montana and led Forward Montana's foundation, the Forward Montana Foundation's Pink Buddy voter registration drive, which registered more people to vote in the state of Montana than actually live here, ladies and gentlemen, which is fairly impressive. She had a little training in Butte along the way, apparently, as well. Actually registered 11,421 people, which is 1.5% of the population by volume, ladies and gentlemen. And I think as testament to her intelligence and her level of sophistication, she apparently only recently discovered that the chorus of the song Constant Craving, for any of you who know the Constant Craving, she apparently thought the words were God send gravy, which actually I like better for a variety of reasons that may be obvious, ladies and gentlemen. Kasia Booker.
Well, thank you to Mayor Engen, and thank you all of you for being here tonight. And a big thank you to the U.S. Supreme Court, who made the right decision today. And of course, thank you to Pat Williams. I am so thrilled that my first event as executive director here at Forward Montana is an event to celebrate one of my heroes and one of Forward Montana's heroes, Pat Williams. So Pat has been a supporter and an inspiration for Forward Montana since the beginning. And he has been there for us through thick and thin for everything that we've done. So Forward Montana, for those of you who don't know, is a grassroots statewide organization to train, mobilize, and elect the next generation of leaders in Montana. That's right, that's right. So obviously Pat Williams knows a few things about mobilizing and electing. The man won just a few elections, you may have noticed. And he did so through an incredible field campaign. Pat went door to door, he talked to voters, he brought politics to the people. And that is exactly what Forward Montana does. We make phone calls, we knock doors, we have conversations with voters. We take busfuls of young people all across this state to help elect great leaders for Montana. And those bus trips have silly names like One Fish, Two Fish, Bus Fish, White Fish, in which we were able to elect Ed Leeser, an amazing representative. The Hunger Bus, electing Amanda Curtis. Woo! A bus runs through it for Kendall Van Dyke, big fishing fan. And these bus trips have music, they have dancing, they are a ton of fun, but at the end of the day, Forward Montana gets it done. In 2012, Forward Montana reached out to over 60,000 voters in this state, and that is without paid canvassers. 60,000 voters. We do it with our volunteers, we do it with our staff, but more than anything else, we do it with our interns and our fellows who are here to support tonight. And that's the other thing we do at Forward Montana, and we do it really well, is we train young leaders. And that is something that Pat Williams deeply understands. That for all of the great work that has been done, and we saw some of it come to fruition today, there is a lot more to do. We need a whole new generation of leaders. We need more Pat Williams. Not 5, not 10, we need hundreds of Pat Williams leading the next generation. And that's what Forward Montana is here to do. We find young people who are passionate, and we give them the skills, the opportunity, and the tools to make a difference in their community, to change Montana, to change the world. And Pat has been there every step of the way, whether it's meeting up at a coffee shop, coming to a planning session, coming to speak to us at a bus trip. Pat has inspired us all along. And when he comes to talk to us, he makes our young people know that their work is important. And think about how that feels to have somebody who has done what Pat Williams has done come up to you and tell you that the work you're doing matters. Those are the kind of conversations that change lives, that inspire young people to continue doing this for the rest of their life. So I am proud tonight to raise my glass, and I hope you will all join me, in toasting Pat Williams, who is a champion of young people, but more than that, a friend and a mentor for Forward Montana. To Pat Williams. Woo! Mayor Engen.
Thank you very much. And so, folks, you probably know Pat really doesn't like attention, so it's very difficult for him to even be here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you, Congressman, for sort of coming out of your shell tonight on behalf of the people and the good work at Forward Montana. Ladies and gentlemen, there is another Williams we need to mention this evening, who, frankly, but for her, I'm not sure there would be a Pat Williams, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the Honorable Senator Carol Williams, ladies and gentlemen. And Carol, thank you for coaxing him out of the house. We appreciate that very much, ladies and gentlemen. I am now having a look at my notes to see what it is I am going to do. Oh, I am going to invite some sponsors and friends to come on up and do some toasting. Will there be more toasting, Eric? Is that what's happening? Lost our microphone. There you go. I story my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Eric Fever. I'm president of 18,000 people who do the work that matters in this state. Teachers, faculty, state employees, county employees. And I'm here to toast Pat Williams. Now, Pat, I can't toast you sitting down. You have to stand up. And come up front here, Pat. All the way, Pat. Of course, I feel pretty odd having a drink in my hand, and Pat, you don't have one in yours, but you can pantomime the effect, all right? Pat, on behalf of MEAMFT, your union, teacher, husband, father, congressperson, best storyteller ever about what happened in Anaconda Butte in the days past, Pat Williams, I salute you for your commitment to this state. We have never had a better friend in Congress for labor and for public education. Thank you, Pat Williams. My toast to you. I'll drink it.
Whoop, watch out. Hello, my name is Mark Kuipers, and I'm a citizen member of the Montana Arts Council. The Montana Arts Council supports arts education, promotes the arts around the state, and works on the economic vitality of the artistic community in every city and community across the state. But without Pat's leadership, it's very likely that the Montana Arts Council wouldn't exist and there would be no national endowments for the arts. Today, most of us would agree that Congress is deeply divided. Well, the atmosphere wasn't always so great when you were in Congress, was it, Pat? It was tough, and Pat chaired the committee that oversaw the National Endowment for the Arts. You see, at that time, there was really an all out warfare that erupted over a series of controversies, particularly the Robert Opelthorpe photography that featured naked men. There was this huge outcry to ban public funding of the arts and to disband the National Endowments of the Arts. Well, Pat, he didn't stick his finger up in the air and say try to figure out which way the wind was blowing. No, he did what true leaders do. He followed his convictions. He risked his career to fight for art and the freedom of expression. He reached out. He reached out to his congressional colleagues and gave a vigorous defense of public funding for the arts. He won them over, even the most conservative members. He also traveled around Montana and talked to the people, listened to their concerns, and discussed how free expression, and particularly free expressions of the arts, was a Montana value and good for our state. He changed a lot of people's minds. The National Endowment for the Arts was saved. Pat even got reelected. And Montana has really become one of the most vibrant arts environments in the nation, as we can see just looking around in Missoula. So today, we enjoy the benefits of Pat's courage and leadership. 9 out of 10 of the arts organizations in Montana got their funding and their start through the National Endowments of the Arts. Pat's influence and his heroism is felt and recognized not just in Montana, but all across this great nation. So here's to Pat and his creative leadership for the arts. To Pat Williams.
Hello, everyone. My name's, party foul already. My name's Chris Cavazos.
Hey folks, I've had a request that we, if you can, just for a little while longer, try to be a little more quiet so our speakers can be heard by the whole crew. It's important that the toast be heard all the way in the back of the hall. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. I'm glad that everyone will be listening to me now. My name's Chris Cavazos. I'm the COPE director for the Montana AFL-CIO, which means I represent 45,000 working Montanans in every corner of the state. I'm also the vice chair of a little organization you guys might have heard of called Forward Montana. So, Pat grew up in Butte, which means Pat has been a part of the labor movement for his entire life. He was a member of the MFT and then the MEMFT. Pat has been quoted as saying that organized labor is the greatest institution in this country. Well, I'll agree with that. But we all know that that institution's under attack every single day. And the only way we're going to repel those attacks is developing our leaders, especially our next generation of leaders. So tonight I'm here to recognize one of our greatest institutions here in Montana, Pat Williams, and his commitment to working people and developing the next generation of leaders. To Pat, a champion for working Montanans.
My name is Stacey Anderson. I'm the political director for Planned Parenthood Advocates of Montana, and I also do a little bit of policy work for Planned Parenthood of Montana. So I'm really trying hard not to filibuster this evening. I was really inspired yesterday. We got some stuff, big shoes to fill. But you all are in the presence of greatness, and he lives right here in Missoula. And I think he has been an icon of me since I was in grade school in Meadowlark Elementary in Great Falls, Montana. I won't mention my age, but it's not the current one. And he was a rare breed indeed in the 1993 legislature and his entire career from 1979 to 1997. He had a 100% voting record with all the women's and reproductive rights organizations of the country. Imagine our current congressman actually co-sponsoring the Freedom of Choice Act of 1993. I think that's unlikely, but Pat Williams was one of those. And more recently, I think we should applaud him for his bravery in standing up for the young women of Missoula. It doesn't get better than the work this man does for the women and families of Montana. You are truly an inspiration. You have stood up for the women and families and the collective future in Montana and this country. I think through your very actions, you will inspire so many people, and the foundation you have set up and the work you're doing with Forward Montana and the other organizations will live on. The next Pat Williams, the next Carol Williams, the next Wendy Davis, the next Brian Schweitzer is in this audience tonight. I believe that. And the work the Williams Foundation will do will bring us there. Inspiration and kindness are rare gifts, and you, my friend, are the embodiment of both. I wish you well on your journeys, and I believe you will bring great things to Montana.
It's going to be hard for me to speak after hollering for Stacy. For those of you I have not met, my name is Sarah Cobbler. I'm the program director for Montana Conservation Voters. And I have the distinct pleasure of trying to speak just a little bit for all of those of us in the room who are fighting to protect public lands. Pat worked his entire congressional career to designate wilderness in Montana, and heard through the years the common things that those of us who are still working to protect public lands today hear, that wilderness is for the elite, that wilderness and public lands are for someone else who live somewhere else, that wilderness is something that rich white folks like to do when they have vacation. And to this, a teacher from Butte got to laugh and say, wilderness in Montana is a way of life. Public lands in Montana are part of the very fabric of our being, and that's why I'm going to fight for them here. In his career, he helped designate the Lee Metcalf Wilderness Area and, like Mayor Engen said, our very own wilderness in the backyard, the Rattlesnake, and we are indebted to him for this work. And beyond that, he fought every day for a much bigger wilderness package. And this just brings me to what made me want to come up here and talk to you tonight, and that's that when Pat was done with his work in Congress, he didn't take a job as a high-powered lobbyist. He didn't take a job working in Washington. He came home to teach kids like me, the kid of a mill worker from Columbia Falls at the University of Montana. And I have something in common with this man, and that's that we are unlikely allies for wilderness, and that all of us will go to bed knowing that regular kids like me whose parents didn't go to college, have devoted their professions because of men like this who came home to teach. And to that, I salute you, Pat Williams.
Thank you. Boy, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, all of our fine folks who offered toasts and additional insight into the man we honor this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, We all have mentors in our life. A couple of mine are in the tent this evening. First among them is Pat Williams, who has taught me a number of things, including humility and how to be a street mayor, which comes from lessons he learned from his father-in-law all the way in Butte, America. And there's another character in the room this evening from whom I have learned a thing or two as well. Were that I as quick-witted as he, because I could be running a mine right now, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who served the state of Montana with honor and dignity, our friend, the Honorable Governor Brian Schweitzer, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know how old you were when you decided that you were a Democrat. I don't know who your mentors were, but I know who mine was, Pat Williams. Pat Williams fought for families like mine, families whose parents, well, they didn't go to college, neither of my parents graduated from high school, but he fought every single day of his professional career in Congress to make sure that every child had an equal opportunity. That's Pat Williams. Pat Williams understood how important it was to have, Pat, clean places for hunting, camping, and fishing, and there's not a G in any one of those three words, right? So, you know, when I had my kids in school and started paying closer attention to politics, I kind of got mad watching the news, and I said, by God, I ought to run for something. And Nancy said, okay, yeah, we'll have a beer. And I did that a couple more times, and then I thought, no, I'm serious. I'd like to learn how to do this, where to start. And so I looked up the number of this man, and I called Pat Williams, and he said, sure, come on down to Missoula. I'd like to meet with you and Nancy, and we talked. And we spent about an hour and a half, this man who is a giant in my life, explaining to me, you know, the perils of being in public life, what it means raising a family and having to be in a meeting here and there and back and forth. But he also said to me, if you get it right, you can be a small part in changing the world. You know, there's only a few meetings that you'll remember for the rest of your life, and that was a meeting that I will remember for the rest of my life because he's been an inspiration to me for my entire adult life. But it's not just Pat. Carol. So Carol comes into my office when I was governor, and she had a great idea. She said, you know, Brian, if we start early enough, if we start when a child, before they're in first grade, if every child in Montana, if they can read and write and they know their numbers and colors, when they arrive at first grade, it won't matter whether they have two parents and they live on the country club and both of them have college degrees, or whether they just have one parent and she speaks Cheyenne and it's their grandmother. If we start early enough, every child will have an equal opportunity, and that's why we need full-day kindergarten for every child in Montana. Now, I said, Carol, that sounds like a good idea. It's going to cost a lot of money. Oh, yeah, millions. Carol, we got a bunch of Republicans, and they barely like public school, let alone full-day kindergarten. But I said, we'll look into it, we'll do what we can, so we polled it. 37% of Montana thought it was a good idea. So Carol and I got together again, and she said, perfect, we can win this. And let me tell you something. It's a hell of a lot easier to win something to say no to Carol Williams, and we did win it. Now, I'm pretty sure Pat Williams has never said no to Carol, and I wasn't going to start then. Thank you, Carol, for being my mentor. And now, for the main event. For all of you young people who want to get in politics, if you don't believe in public education, if you don't believe in clean water, clean air, and open spaces, if you don't believe that every single family has an equal opportunity in this country, if you don't believe that we ought not go to every damn country in the world and fight a war, if you don't believe those things, then don't run for office. But if you believe it and you're passionate and you're willing to stand up even in the tough time, you will be the next Pat and Carol Williams of Montana. Thank you very much. Pat Williams. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, Brian Schweitzer, thank you very much. And given that I have all this success and I'm so goddamn popular tonight, I want to make a suggestion to you personally. And I know you can't say no because look. Please, Brian, don't leave public life, please. There have been far too much use today of two words this evening. One is Pat and the other is Williams because it's true. And it's been entirely overdone. It's all the truth, but it's been... Some of it was marginally true, but I'm deeply grateful to Forward Montana, to those who've been kind enough to say a word, and to so many pals that are here, including those I haven't met yet. I hope to meet you tonight if you'll stick around. Thank you very much for being here. Forward Montana talks about the Williams effect. That's the effect right there. That's the effect. I'll be brief, but Carol and I met in Butte at a Young Democrats meeting. Carol was just old enough to still be in the Young Democrats, and I was 13 or 14 years old myself. This could be and is, in many, many ways, as you know, tonight is about Carol, because she's been critical to whatever the Williams effect is. She's been the soul of it. And once answered a question from a journalist who said, "Why do you keep doing this? How can you keep doing this from childhood?" And he was kind enough to include me in that question. You and Pat just seemed to do it. And Carol said to him, "Well, look, it's like this. To us, politics and policy are not a jacket that we can take on and off. You see," she said, "we were born and raised in Butte, a city that earnestly and absolutely believes that government is not alien. that government is us. And so she said, it's not like putting a jacket on or off. It's our skin. And we wake up with it and we go to bed with it in place every morning and every night. Politics and policy and just trying to help a little bit here and there is our skin. We don't know how to take it on. We don't know how to stop it if we wanted to, which we don't. That's the best description of a life in the public, as at least with regard to Carol and I know many of you too. That's the best description of that I've heard about why we do what we do and why we like it as much as we do. So with regard to Carol, let me just remind you of an historic occasion, which is right now. Please greet one more time the first and only woman to ever have been elected as majority leader of the Montana State Senate, Carol Griffith Williams. Okay, now I won't take that long a time with the kids, for which I will be roundly criticized this evening. But on our left is our daughter, Erin. Erin works every day for the past 16, 17 years, 18 years. Wow. She's a little older than I thought. How the hell old are you? To make the life of troubled children better. She's done it daily and successfully in almost every case of the children she works with. Done it every day. That too is part of the Williams effect. Please greet Erin. Her daughter is Fiona B, B-E-A, Fiona B. And Fiona is?
7.
7. And Fiona does a number of things, including making political buttons and bumper stickers. Yeah. Our daughter Whitney, on the right-hand side here, lives in Seattle, but thought she ought to come over. She loves Forward, Montana, and is relatively fond of me, so she thought she ought to be here tonight. Whitney is the real political and policy person in the family, even considerably more effective than either Carol or myself. Whitney was Mrs. Clinton's trip director in the White House. She, hooray for Hillary, she says. Whitney has had a really, if you're her father, you would agree with this. She's had a career that's absolutely startled me. And she is currently the owner and CEO of a international consulting firm headquartered out of Seattle, but does a lot of work out of Missoula as well, here in Montana, but headquartered out of Seattle. She has a very large staff and works in various places around the world. The focus that takes up most of her time right now is a foundation she started called the Eastern Congo Initiative Foundation. And her business partner in that nonprofit foundation is the actor, Academy Award winner Ben Affleck. And Whitney continues to do some work with the Clintons. We had dinner with President Clinton and Ben Affleck the other day in Los Angeles in a fundraiser that Whitney sponsored. And her work also for children and for women who have great difficulty, particularly in the Eastern Congo in Africa. Her work is worth many millions of dollars in cash to that country and those people. And she and Mr. Affleck have done astonishing tasks together for difficulties around the world. When Whitney was very tiny, she was really interested in politics, and a friend of mine from Butte, John Astle, called. You know John. And he said, she answered the phone. She was 4 or 5 years old. And he said, hello, is your dad there? I need to talk to him about his campaign. And she said, no, he's not home. And he said, oh, is there somebody there I can talk with? And she said, well, you could talk to my sister or you can talk to me. And he said, all right, I'll talk to you. He said, I'd like to leave your dad a message. She said, okay, just a minute. And about 2 or 3 minutes later, she returned and she had a pencil and a piece of paper. And he said, well, would you just take my name down and ask him to call me? And she said, all right, what's your name? And he said, just tell him Astle called. And she said, how do you spell Astle? And he said, A-S-T-E-L. And she said, just a minute, what's the first letter? And he said, A. And he said, after about a 30-second pause, that sweet voice came on again and said, mister, how do you make an A? But the point is, she was trying, and she's still trying, Whitney Williams. Lastly, with regard to the family, I want to introduce our favorite son-in-law. He really is, he'll stay our favorite regardless. Many of you know him. He's been around town. He ran the Osprey for a while. He ran the Adams Center for a time. He ran the airport for a time. My friend Steve Woodruff calls him Missoula's pinch hitter, best pinch hitter, because he shows up and bails some of these places out when they have a little difficulty. Please, Joe Easton. You can whisper. A word about why we're here. Not about me. And it's not entirely about the effect either. It is about the young people, and I guess in this crowd I'll have to include everybody under 100. It's about our young friends who are electing progressives across Montana because of their tireless efforts with regard to policy development, voter registration, and managing politics in which, if you are strategic enough and you have good candidates, you can win. And Forward Montana does that, frankly, and I love my environmental friends. And they do enormous work at getting the vote out and contacting people in meaningful ways. But for my money, and all of my money is printed in Butte, for my money, Forward Montana is the best of all of them, and I salute Forward Montana. Yeah. Okay, two quick things. When I came in, I went up to a lady I hadn't met before and I said, "Hi, Pat, I'm Pat Williams." And she said, "You are?" She said, "I've wanted to meet you for 30 years. I said, "Well, I'm lucky tonight because here I am." And she stepped back and looked at me and she said, "Holy Christ, I thought you were a big, tall guy." And I said, "I was before I got elected to Congress." The other thing is, I was also asked when I came in to tell any budding politicians, including young people here, who I want to again say are the future, absolutely the future of progressive policy and politics in this country and how we do it right. Young people are at the heart and core and soul of those efforts, including right now. Last election, the election before, the election coming up, elections to come. Young people are the ones who will grab tomorrow and make it behave for them. And so, I'm really here to salute you. Now, also when I came in, somebody said, "Pat, a lot of these young people and others here may be thinking about running for office." Well, I've met 3 of you tonight who've come up and said, "Hey, I'm running for," then whatever it is. And so this person said to me, "Give us your best piece of advice on how to how to win elections," as if there was a single piece of advice to tell you how to win elections. So I thought about it while I was going around talking to you, and here it is. When I decided to run for the Montana legislature back in the 60s, I was living in Butte, and you ran in a kind of a different pattern than you do now, but you represented the whole county. So I was a Butte kid and young, and decided I wanted to give it a try because I was interested in politics. I just wanted to know if it was really my thing. Well, to do that, you can't just be in the Young Democrats or whatnot. You probably got to go get in a legislative or executive position, whatever you can do, even if it's as staff. But I decided to run for the legislature, and so my Irish grandmother, Lizzie Keogh, said to me, I said, "Have you got any advice for me?" And she said, yeah, sure, I do. And she gave me some advice, but she said, the third piece of advice I want to give you is go down the street here and talk to the former mayor, Barry O'Leary. And O'Leary was from Ireland too, so he and my grandma were kind of immigrant pals. So I went down and went up and knocked on the door. And that was always hard for me, believe it or not. My friends and I knocked on 67,000 doors to help get me elected the first time. Not for the legislature, but for Congress. But this was the legislature, so I knocked on Mr. O'Leary's door kind of timidly, and then I knocked louder because they couldn't hear me. And the former mayor came to the door. Oh, and he remembered everybody. He said, "Oh, Patrick, it's nice to see you. How are you? Come on in." Now, the word in Butte was that if Barry O'Leary let you into his screened-in or windowed-in the winter porch, not the living room, not the house, but the porch, he wanted to listen to you. So I immediately had entree to the porch, not because he knew me so well, but he knew my family, he knew my grandma. And I said to him, we had small talk for about 20 minutes, and then I finally got my courage up, and I said, "I have a political question to ask you, Your Honor." And he said, "Just a minute," and he got up from the little straw sofa we were sitting on, and he opened the door, and he said, "Mary, Lizzie Keogh's grandson, Patrick Williams, is here. Would you put on some tea?" And then he said, "Come on into the house, Pat." Well, the word in Butte was if you got into the house, on an occasion like this, you were really doing good. So I'm sailing high. We had the tea, and then he said, "All right, spring the question." I said, "Well, Your Honor, I'm thinking about running for the legislature. Do you have any advice? And in Butte, like a lot of tribal communities, do you know Butte and Browning are alike? Indian thing. Yeah, it's tribal. It's tribal. It's family. It's extended family. Butte's a lot like, Butte people are a lot like the people that live on or around the res. They really are. I mean, I don't think the people around the res will mind me saying that. I said to him, I'm thinking about running for the legislature. Do you have any advice? And like many of these kind of people, they give you advice by telling you a story. So here finally is the story. He said, would you be knowing Barry O'Leary? Or no, would you be knowing Spud Murphy? Barry said. And I said, oh, sure, I know him. He said, well, you know, he's an alderman up in Walkerville, a little city north of Butte. I said, yeah, I know that. He said, well, about 5 years ago, before he was an alderman, he said, I was downtown, and he said, I'm standing on the corner, a park in Maine, and I hear, psst, psst, Your Honor, Your Honor, psst. He said, I looked this way and that, and he said, finally I turn around, and he said, there's Spud Murphy back in the alcove of that little drugstore. Oh, yeah. He said, he's waving at me, psst, Your Honor. So he said, I went in, and he said, Spud looked this way, and he looked that way, and he said, I need some advice. Whispering, whispering. I'm thinking about running for alderman. Do you have any advice? He said, I grabbed him by the collar and took him right on the corner of Park and Main, and I yelled at him, Spud Murphy, how the hell do you expect to get elected as alderman if you're going to keep it a goddamn secret? Well, Pat, he said, thanks for coming. It's nice to see you, my friend. Good luck. So it isn't easy. Campaigning isn't easy, but those of you who might be up to it or thinking about it, one of the secrets is don't keep it a secret. You go out and shake a lot of hands and talk to a lot of people. That's how politics works best. And the problem, have you noticed the problem? Too many politicians, both during and after they get elected, keep too damn many secrets. They need to open it up. Well, again, I want to thank you and Forward Montana and those who've been kind enough to come over here from other places. I'm deeply grateful. This is, in all truth, way overdone because not about me. It's about them. And eventually, it's about you. It's about you. I want to thank you so much for being so generous and kind to Carol, to myself, and not just politically, but your personal friendships. You understand it. You understand it. Around here, personal friendships mean a lot. And we are very, very grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pat, for demonstrating again why I should never speak after you. I really appreciate that. Hi, everyone. My name's Joe Teal. I'm a student. I just graduated from Montana State University. Don't hold it against me. And I had the immense privilege, because of Brian Schweitzer, to get to serve with Pat Williams on the Board of Regents. I served 2 terms as the student regent. Thank you. And although I have some Montana roots, I have to admit I grew up in Idaho. So as a regent, when I heard that this guy, Pat Williams, was coming on, I thought, oh, neat. And when I heard he was a former congressman, I thought, oh, this should be fun, this should be interesting. You know, but he wasn't really my congressman. But then I met the guy. And particularly there's one time I remember. It was after our first board meeting. And another of the regents said, hey, Joe, his name was Paul Tess, you really need to come out. And he described it as a cultural experience. And he took me out to a bar in Old Town Butte, and I walked in the door, and here's what I saw. I saw commissioner's office staff, regents, old Butte politicos, the mechanic from down the street, the waitress from the restaurant next door, the bartender, all sitting around this big table, and right at the apex, here's Pat, the glue of the group. And what's he doing? Of course, he's telling a story. And I sat there for 1 and then 2 and then 3, and you know, you get the picture. And Pat kept on telling stories, and they weren't just any stories. They were stories that made you laugh, but also stories that made you think. And I think for a lot of us in the room, and for me personally, not only think, but consider, and in the end, act. And because of that, now I can definitely say, Pat, you're my congressman. And I think he's really more than that. He's Montana's storyteller. So over the next year and a half, I learned a couple other things about Mr. Williams. I learned that education is at the core of his being. I learned that because of Pat carrying the bill, helping the bill along, we had the 1994 Land Grant Act that founded tribal colleges, 7 of them in the state of Montana. And I learned that he's a really great friend, father, husband, and mentor. And because of that, I want to say thank you, Pat, for being an inspiration to all of us, to being a friend to all of us, and to being our storyteller. But as Pat mentioned, that's only really part of it, because I really think it's true, Pat's story isn't over. His legacy lives on in all of the people here that he has inspired, all the young people here that he has encouraged, cajoled, empowered to not only think, but to act. And it's because of Pat's cajoling, his encouragement, his empowerment, his inspiration that I can say that I am the next Pat Williams. I care about the role of higher education in our state, in our country, for global society, because I feel that our universities have an important role to play in our country and in the developing world. And with that, I have a quick question. Who else is the next Pat Williams?
started today, but it means that families are protected in every single state, and not just 13.
My name is Eileen Inman, and I am the next Pat Williams. I know everyone else was down on the ground, but honestly, I'm kind of a fan of attention, and I really like seeing everybody else in the room right now, so don't mind me. My name is Eileen Inman, and I am the next Pat Williams. I dedicate my life to fighting for social justice. And you know what? It's because I'm a second-generation survivor of domestic violence who was raised in a single-parent household whose income was often below the poverty line. I may have been through my fair share of adversities, to be the first from my family to graduate with a college degree, but I don't let it define my character. Instead, I take pride in the following two lessons that my mama taught me, which is one, if one witnesses social injustice, it is their responsibility to change it, and two, I have more than enough power to do so. Upon getting to know Pat, his character, his willingness to stand up for what he believes in, and even more impressive, his ability to not shy away from a fight that's worth fighting. He's become kind of a guiding inspiration for me in my life because he truly embodies those lessons that my mama taught me, which, by the way, my mama is right over there. And I love you. Civic engagement has always kind of been a thing in my life. I mean, my mom kind of got me started from day one. She had me write my first letter when I was 5 years old, and I was crying because JB's restaurant took dino fries off the menu, and that is absurd. In elementary school, I held my first petition, ran my first sit-in because they were messing with my recess, and I'm having none of that. In middle school, she encouraged me to join the student council in hopes of changing the school's colors because I was getting bullied as a Hellgate kid going to a Sentinel Kid middle school. It honestly wasn't until I met Rochelle DeVoe and sat down with her that I finally got on the winning path with Forward Montana. She more or less recruited me to be an intern, which thank God she did, because I got to be able to have a sneak peek into the world of grass movement building. It was amazing, I had a great time, but then the following semester, I somehow got hired on as staff, as field organizer, largely due to a platypus and a fedora. You know who you are, Bryce Bennett. And it was that moment that I had realized I had no idea what I was doing. I was scared out of my mind that I was going to mess everything out, everything was going to be set on fire, and I just couldn't go on. And that was when Rochelle pulled me aside. She told me that she, along with the rest of the Forward Montana family, believed in me. And not only did she believe in me, but she trusted in me to get it done. Just like that, I could do anything that I put my mind to simply because someone I admired and believed in told me they believed in me. Oh man, I made it my mission to create a leadership development program that would graduate each intern with the knowledge and the skill set to go forward and be a grassroots organizer. And if they were so lucky to be hired on as field organizer the following semester, well, by Odin's beard, they would know what they were doing. And you know, 3 years later, and we've done some pretty impressive things. I mean, I for one, full-heartedly believe in Forward Montana because they foster the next Pat Williams every day. That's right, you guys can clap for that. We've graduated 40+ interns through the program, all who have gone on to seize different leadership roles within their community. They're campaign managers, they're working for MDLCC, working for MOPERG, other organizations. Some are even cool enough to come back and be on our staff. And you know, I'll be honest, these kids are the ones that are moving our state and country forward, and I could not be more proud of each and every one of them. That's also another cue for a hand clap, because they get it. But to be perfectly honest, when days got rough during election time, and oh man, I really should have probably given Pat a phone call just for some words of inspiration, because I reached a point where knocking that last door seemed pretty impossible. Instead, I turned to my team, my family, and I asked them what made them walk down to that very last door at the very end of the drive. And what one person said changed my entire perspective. You know, I had to actually change the speech because of DOMA and all that jazz, but as it stood then, their love would never be deemed official because love between two members of the same sex was just not official. But they told me they knocked doors because they hope to have a family one day. And they want their kids to never have to worry about being in a single-parent household simply because there's only room for one mom on the birth certificate. Boom, right? Yeah, that inspired me, right? God. I mean, after that, I went out and I knocked every door. Hell, I even knocked extra doors for that. How couldn't you? My generation inspires me. I mean, my mom empowered me. Ford Montana showed me exactly how to get it done. But it's my friends that just make it all worthwhile. I mean, we're out there every day fighting to be the next Pat Williams and make some positive change in this state. These kids are our future, and today I ask you to support theirs. Oh man, that's a good line too. Anyway. I guess I'm kind of lucky because of what I was able to do with Ford Montana, I now have opportunity waiting for me when I graduate. But as a young professional, we work full-time, we go to school full-time, and we all have graduation on the horizon, aka student loan debt. Yay, can't wait. But today I ask you to support my Ford Montana family in training the next generation of leaders so they can go out and get it done instead of having to focus on the student loan payment that they have due at the end of the month. Help support them so that I can give them the same opportunity that y'all have been so gracious to give me. My goal here tonight has fluctuated a little bit because, wow, everybody here in the crowd, super generous, wonderful. We have already raised about $5,000 tonight, so yeah, that's right. Right now, right here, my goal is to raise another $2,000 because I want to sponsor another, let's see, what is it again? Yep, I want to sponsor 2 interns for 1 year because honestly, all you need is 1, but why not just have 2 because it's good stuff, people. So, who here is wonderful enough to sponsor an intern, a high school intern, for 1 semester for $250. We got 1. All right, guys. That's awesome. Thank you so much. How about, oh, we got 2. Yes. Can we, yes. How about another 2 more? How about 2 more? Oh, we got 1, yes! Heck yes! Wow, we got some nice people here in the crowd. This also includes, oh wow, we got, yes! Oh, that's fantastic. All right, well, there's what, 500, 1,000 down? All right, 1,000 left. How about who here can sponsor an intern for $100 for 2 weeks? Susan Hay, right here? Yes, fantastic. Oh, yeah, perfect. 200. 300 in the back to Jason Weiner, because he's a champ. Dana Swanson, all the way over there. Oh, hey, Diane Sands. It's fantastic. Diane, let's see. Keep those hands raised as we move about the crowd. Garrett, it's my lovely partner. He just raised his hand. That's right. That's right. Keep it coming. Yeah, keep your hands raised until we can get some envelopes to you. We're working. Clayton Elliott. Oh, man, this support is... Jake Matilski? Oh, man. Huh? And I got the way back. I see him. All right. I know these asks may be a bit steep for who's here tonight. I mean, a lot of us are pretty young, so $100 out of pocket, that's a lot of money. So, how about, let's see, how about an intern for 1 week for $50? Oh, 50? That's Brendan Kane right there. Right there, sweet, another 100. Wow, you guys are making my job really easy tonight. Oh, we got another one. All to Ricky. Anyone else? $50. Yeah, that's right. Oh, you guys are champs. Keep your hands up. Friends and family, don't forget Amanda Curtis. She's being really nice right now. All right. Got one last one? Any last additions? Another $50? Cricket, cricket. Yeah, we got one. All right, awesome. All right, so I got one last super simple one. Who wants to be able to sponsor a high school intern for $25? Oh, is that Michael? Cricket, cricket. Yeah, we got one. Yes. Oh my gosh. All right, anybody else for $25? Bryce Bennett. What? Thank you all so much. From one organizer to a crowd of amazing, supportive people, thank you. Thank you, and one last time for good measure, thank you. Let me pass it off to the mayor. And not die.
You're awesome. Thank you. Feeling pretty fantastic. Yeah, how about a round of applause for a remarkable fundraiser? So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is John. I am too old to be the next Pat Williams. But I want to be something when I grow up. Folks, we have another 20 or so speeches to give. Then there will, I'm just kidding. The speeches are over. What is left is if you would still like to express your generosity and your support for Forward Montana. You have some opportunities. There are some pledge cards floating around here. You can also go online, ladies and gentlemen, to offer your credit card in perpetuity to Forward Montana in an amount that you can't afford, but frankly, you won't see the bill till later, so you won't care. A lot of ways to give, a lot of ways, ladies and gentlemen, to support Forward Montana and the Williams Effect. Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic evening here in the Garden City. There's going to be some music and some fun.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We are Kung Fu Congress, and we like dancers.
All right, we got a few people dancing, that's good. Preferably people over the 40, we like to dance in the front row, but maybe that's just us. Okay.